This week's episode is brought to you by the generous support of our listeners and the cult-like dedication of its hosts. If you enjoy putting the whole rabbit in your ear, please give this episode a like, subscribe, share, or even a good review to help us grow and become visible beyond the small audience of intelligence agents unlucky enough to be assigned to monitor this podcast, and make sure its narrow band of organic listeners only discovered after penetrating a Mandela desynchronization field inside which anything is possible. If you'd like to support the show with your delicious money, please consider becoming a subscriber at www.patreon.com/thewholerabbit, where your monthly donation of just $5 will get you full access to our entire library of extended shows available in convenient RSS feed format compatible with your podcast player of choice. I'll even send you a 5x5 high-quality vinyl sticker of our bunny cover art and the secret keys to our Discord server, where you can collaborate with the hosts and other listeners of the show at your leisure. Sometimes we here at the Whole Rabbit Podcast run into time constraints, which threaten our prescribed timetables for research and put considerable strain on its hosts. We find the most productive way to deal with the problem is to blame someone and shame them for the sum total of burdens being exhibited upon the collective. For this reason, we have launched a vigorous, wide-sweeping investigation meant to expose the guilty party, which you will be hearing shortly, and contains primarily a set of interrogative information-seeking literary objects known as questions, which are designed to expose the nature of the suspects. If you would like to help us follow up this ongoing investigation, please submit your cross-examination questions, which we will ask each other at a later date, using the Discordian legal documentation numbering system available by mailing an inquest to our offices in the Bermuda Triangle. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Like, when you see someone wearing like a t-shirt that is something that you actually grew up loving, and then you try to talk to them about it and they have no clue what that actually is. Like, oh, I loved Bubble Bobble growing up, and they're like, yeah, I've never actually played it. Why are you wearing a Bubble Bobble shirt then?
Because I like little dinosaurs in the colors.
In LA, we're just like, give me that shit, sucker. It's mine.
Have you ever wore a shirt for something you weren't really a fan of, ever?
No.
No.
Why? I don't know why you would. Why would you?
I was too poor.
I was poor, and somebody got me a Descendants shirt, and I thought it was cool.
Wait, is that the Disney thing?
It's a punk band.
Oh, I thought that was a Disney thing because I worked on a show for Disney. I think it's called The Descendants.
Day of the Dork.
Yeah, it's a really cool punk band. But I do see a lot of people wear that shirt, and then I'm like, yo, you know about these guys and their other bands? And I'm a little bit of a music nerd, so I can be an asshole about it most of the time, but
I'd be like, I like that one song where the drums go, do-dat, 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 do-dat.
I think that's pretty common for people to just wear like punk band shirts that they don't actually listen to.
yeah.
Like Dead Kennedys or like the Ramones. Like, I think that's kind of just, or Misfits. Like, that's kind of just a look now for people, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
they're
one
not-
song, Dead Kennedys. Do-dat, 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 do-dat.
They're not punk bands anymore. They're punk brands.
Yeah.
It's like lame. That's why Henry Rollins will always be the shit. Calls them out on that publicly.
I'm writhing in my shame in the bottom.
Shit's funny on GTA. He's like a radio host, and he's like, you know, the reason why our music was so fucking good, because we all wanted to fucking bash each other's heads in. It's like, yeah.
Maynard was so upset that he wouldn't read the lyrics Maynard's way. It's the only feature that Tool has ever had on any of their albums.
It's their first album, too.
In my darkness, I smell the pizza. The pizza farts consume me, choke me, caress me. I am growing beyond the pizza. Now the pizza becomes me. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Whole Rabbit, where we don't just take a week off from podcasting when we run out of time to research our normal weekly episodes about witches, mind control, and Satan because we've got day jobs that are whooping our ass. Nay, we launch into a vast, comprehensive investigation meant to determine precisely what and ultimately who is responsible for this most egregious offense against the show's regularly scheduled programming so that justice, and most importantly, blame, might be served.
All rise. The Internal Affairs Investigative Committee for Tumultuous Acts and Secretions is now in session. The Honorable Secret Court-appointed adjudicator, Pack Rabbit, is presiding.
You may now sit. Please produce a delicious treat for the K9 officer, Marisama.
All right.
Answer carefully to the lead prosecutor, Malachor 5.
You can have what you say you wanted and still be unhappy.
And tremble before the awe-inspiring presence of the Inquisitor, Heka Astra.
Hello. I have questions.
I only made fun of punk music in the opening because I got picked on by cool people as a kid.
Me too. Well, I guess they're not that cool.
True. Yeah, I got picked on too. When I was little, I cried every day because of how much I was bullied for like 5 or 6 years of my life.
What 5 or 6 years were those?
When I was living on the block that I grew up on, my older cousin, who was very abusive and broke all my toys and my bicycles, he'd pour piss on me, just pretty much torment me in any creative way that he can.
Dude, I had piss thrown at me in Coke bottles in high school. Like the jocks would piss into Coke bottles and then whip them at me. So I feel you.
That makes me feel like I got off easy. It was just like strictly verbal abuse.
Yeah, literally fought my way to this mentality that I'm at now.
Being a kind, responsible person?
Something like that. At least forwardly that way, yes.
Man, I feel stupid sharing my story now. There was this one time in 7th grade when this bully, she was some blonde chick named Jenny, she begged me to borrow a pencil. And it was my one pencil. I didn't want to let her borrow it because I knew she was a bully. I knew she was messing with me, but she begged and she begged and she begged and she begged, and I let her borrow the pencil, and the second I handed it to her, she threw it across the room. I'm still kind of mad about it.
Man, I've been fucked with like that before too. Like people faking that, oh, you know when they put the love letter in your locker or something and make you think that somebody really likes you, and then it's just a group of people laughing when you show up. I can't stand being laughed at. That was like the worst.
Emotional damage.
Yeah, it's really bad. Especially you go home to parents that yell and verbally abuse you as well. So it's just like, it was just constant. Like, you're stupid, you're ugly, you're fat, no one likes you. That kind of wears you down after a while. I'd almost rather someone throw a piss bottle at me.
I get that. Like, I was teased a lot as well. The stuff that got thrown at me was like moldy sandwiches and like Coke bottles full of piss.
That's terrible though.
They threw water balloons one time, and there was one water balloon that didn't break. It just like rolled across the grass, and I picked it up and I whipped it back at them, and I actually got one of them like right in the face.
Nice.
I had way better aim for throwing than the jocks did, and I felt pretty good about that.
You know, you get sick of the teasing or whatever, and I just began to laugh back at it. Like, oh, you poor pathetic humans, you know, you have no idea. And then I even invented an alter ego for myself in 6th grade where I was the queen of hell and cheese and crackers because I like those. But yeah, I kind of just made my own group of friends, like with the misfits. I just accepted my place. And if people started to harass me or whatever, I would just kind of laugh it off like a joke, like, oh, well, that's the best you got. That's weak. You know, like I would make fun of them back. So
Yeah.
that was basically my defense mechanism.
Did you ever get revenge?
I don't know. I think the way that I grew up, it made me more of a dissenter. Like it actually opened me up to questioning things a lot more. So I came out on the other end way more empowered and developed and mature than any of those kids did. And I did a lot better as an adult. So who knows?
Grade 10 was like the year that I got my first friend named Lydia, and she introduced me to some girl named Becky, and we stole a bunch of gnomes, and then we were painting all these gnomes that we stole. So we ran out of paint. So we needed more paint, and I stole a whole bunch of paint from my school. That was actually like, despite the, all the bullying, that was actually a pretty sweet year.
How did you acquire so many gnomes?
Well, Becky had a license, so we were driving around in her car. We'd drive around like during the day, and we'd take the addresses of places that had gnomes. And then once we got like a big enough list, we would drive around like in the middle of the night and steal the gnomes from those addresses. And she lived in this apartment on the 3rd floor. We did this for at least a month. And then I guess one time someone in the apartment saw us bringing laundry baskets full of gnomes into the apartment, and they called the cops on us.
What a rat.
And yeah, the way that they said it too, they said we were smuggling gnomes. That's what the cops said. They said we had reports of you girls smuggling gnomes into the apartment.
Oh my god, lol.
We had a lot. We lost count at like 170. There was a lot of gnomes in that apartment.
Casing the neighborhood like the wet bandits from Home Alone.
That was so fun. We made it. It actually ended up being on the front page of the newspaper. Small town, I guess.
Awesome.
But it was like law and ornament theft on the rise in Duncan or something like that.
Oh my gosh, that's
Pretty
great.
funny.
Criminal.
And eventually I got revenge on my bullies, specifically my cousin, in various ways over the years. But it did climax at a hangout we were having at my best friend Steven's house. And my cousin would just run his fucking mouth. He'd get drunk and high, and he was just talking shit, saying he could beat me up. And I had been training, and like I was kicking bags and fucking trees with my shins. Like I was rock solid. And I was like, you know what? Put this mouth guard on, you little bitch. Put this glove on. Let's go over here outside. And he pretty much did not touch me. And I socked him up hard enough times that he started coughing up blood.
Whoa.
And I took his ass down. He's got like maybe 100 to 80 pounds on me. Took him down to the ground, grappled him, punched him in the head, like all calm and collected. And he was very emotional, like he let his emotions. And so I won on that regard. Like, he's a little baby still. He doesn't have the fight IQ. He never developed that, even though he was here longer than me. And so I got that. And that was kind of like, I told him, you ever talk to me like that again, I won't hesitate to just continue this assault on you at any place, anytime. I don't care. And everybody else was like, yeah, respect him now, dude. Like, shut your fucking mouth. Because he wasn't talking shit to anybody but me. And it's like, dude, if I told them what you would do to me, when there was no adult supervision, they would all turn on you and probably kill you. So yeah, you get revenge, and you got to kind of just take it and keep on walking in life.
So Mal's been in some fights.
That's crazy, dude.
I was a dirty fighter when I was a kid.
Oh.
I only got into fights with my brothers, but like if I ended up being like, no, I'm actually going to fight back, I would grab my brother Danny by the back of his head, like by his hair, and just feed him shots to the face. I was a really dirty fighter.
Dang.
Yeah, I'm a dirty fighter too, but learning like textbook technique, it does help. But also, I won't hesitate to poke your eyes out. I will grab your cheeks and I'll rip your flesh off your face with my bare hands. I will rip your ears off, bite them, everything on the list. I'll kick you in the balls. I'll rip your sack off with my hands. I swear.
Like
Don't fuck with me.
all the like secret techniques in like Chinese martial arts are all like
balls.
It's all eyes, throat, groin. That's it.
Rip the sack.
Eye gouges, throat punches, and groin shots.
I got that covered. The only times I ever remembered striking other kids is it would be like, when someone annoys you or gets in your face and then, is basically just being really extremely annoying, or I don't know, how mean girls do. Like they act really, really extra sweet, kind of like piss you off, I guess. Anyway, whenever shit like that happened, then I would explode and like smack somebody. And I remember one time I was walking down the hallway and this kid wouldn't leave me alone. It was like one of my acquaintance friends or something like that. And I just I grabbed his head and shoved him as hard as I could. And his head bounced off the cement wall like a fucking basketball. And then I had to go to the principal's office, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it. I didn't know the wall was right there. And, and the principal, like all the kids talked about him being a drunk. Like it was kind of like a rumor that he was. So I was also trying to see the bottle of scotch under his desk, but he looked like really tired and weary. And both of my parents didn't answer their phones. And he was just like, kid, just go home. I got let go because my parents wouldn't answer the phone.
He just wanted to get drunk.
When I fully realized that I was still a loser in middle school was when I was trying to hang out with the other loser kids, and one was a Mormon chick, and even the Mormon chick was mean to me. I was like, wow.
That's no good.
I had something similar happen to me. My favorite place to hang out before school was in my science teacher's class. She taught first period, so it made some sense to be there early, but she was also the host of the Bible Believers Club. And so she accumulated around her this little orbit of Bible Believer Club members, which were small town Protestant / evangelical / four corner Christian people. And they picked on me mercilessly whenever the teacher wasn't around.
Yeah, you know you're like the unpopular kid when like even the Bible thumpers or the Mormons pick on you.
Yeah, that's sad, guys.
I'll be honest, if I saw that in a show, I'd be like, oh, they're trying to be woke. They're trying to make Christianity seem, evil. But that's what happened to me. All the Christians picked on me. They were mean assholes.
However, could Christianity be evil? How?
How?
Bizarre.
I have a feeling it's because their parents are so strict and then they take it out on their classmates.
Dude, I even got picked on at Bible camp.
Oh, yeah, I remember Bible camp.
That's where everyone goes to lose their virginity. I know, because I heard lots of stories about it. Why'd you get picked on at Bible camp?
Because I was in band at Bible camp.
That's like double nerds.
I know. I was always like the shortest in my age group. Like, always the shortest. I was like this tiny little runt kid. So.
Well, maybe that's why. Maybe they just assumed your small stature meant you were easy pickings.
I definitely was at the time, though. I was like a shy little very meek kid.
Did you ever have an imaginary friend?
No.
I did for a hot minute, but it was pretty much a shape-shifting, like, talking animal friend. And I only, like, invented it because all the kids in school were like, what's your imaginary friend? Mine's a robot. Mine's a dinosaur. Like, and I was like, well, mine can change shapes.
I don't even think I found out about imaginary friends until, like, much later on. I didn't even know that it was like a thing.
I had characters, but it wasn't like I sat in my room and talked to it. I just drew pictures of it. I also had this fantasy of I wanted a twin sister named Carrie because my name's Mary and it rhymes. I thought that was cool. And I was like, I can send her to school and go places that I don't want to go. And I can stay home and draw in my room and play on the computer. But it wasn't like a person. It was just like a fantasy of having a twin sister that we could swap places.
Closest thing I had to an imaginary friend, I would pray to Godzilla to stomp on the people that were bullying me.
Awesome.
That's so cute.
I'd cry in my room and I'd just like, Godzilla, come. Like, fuck all these people. Blow them up, please.
It's like you're supposed to pray to God, but Godzilla sounds like he'd get the job done.
I love that. That's awesome. Luke, did you have an imaginary friend?
That's the best thing I've ever heard. I'm sorry that happened to you, Malachor, but...
That's so great, though.
I think my imaginary friend was Psycho Mantis.
Oh.
I didn't pray to him. I just imagined him or myself as him torturing all the people that picked on me.
Yeah, that's kind of why I made up that Queen of Hell character, because I would imagine, like, oh, I get to burn your corpse when you go to hell.
Ooh.
That's a chaos magic thing you can do. You draw a picture of yourself and your significant other, and then all around you, you draw heaven and hell. You draw all of your friends and your best teachers and your parents, all the people you love in heaven, and all the people that have ever been mean or bad or nasty to you in hell. And you draw them undergoing the worst forms of torture, and you tell a story about all the limitless pains and horrors they will face in your hell. And that's supposed to be a powerful magical exercise you can do to shift the world more in alignment with your vision of how things ought to be.
Well, shit, I've been doing chaos magic since I could, like, pick up a crayon then. Because anybody that, like, made me angry, like, especially, I would do this to my dad a lot when I got punished and he yelled. I would draw a picture of the person and then just get a big red crayon and, like, do this, like, savage X mark on top of their face.
Ooh.
Yeah, like, very violently drawing.
I'm happy you brought that up because one of the few experiences I've had with regular journal keeping goes back to when my parents got a divorce. And I had to look at the dates and figure it all out, but I realized the time I was most upset with my father was the exact time right before my parents got a divorce. And I don't know how that all works, but I remember the next year after, the whole Psycho Mantis hating on the people who picked on me phase, they all had a really bad time. Like, the next year. None of them really picked on me anymore. I didn't really have to worry about being the pariah at school anymore. And there's been this long-running suspicion that when you get your emotions like that focused on something, it really does affect reality. You can inadvertently curse somebody or ward somebody out of your life or explode their situation somehow with just focusing your emotion and your energy in that way, especially when you're a child or you're going through puberty and all the hormones are giving you extra magic powers.
How old were you when they got divorced?
I was 13. That's when I found Rammstein and Drowning Pool. I still listen to Rammstein, though.
Man, that's rough. Yeah, like, my sister was probably... She was like the same age, and she has like still has hang-ups about it. But I was like 3 years old when it happened, so it's probably all like subconscious. All
I
of
was
the
like
stuff from that.
in grade 4 when my parents split up. So I was like old enough to kind of get what was going on, but like I couldn't really understand it.
I'm happy I dealt with some of my issues before I watched Stranger Things because it's so targeted directly at me. During my parents' divorce, I remember going to a local fair, and it was a small town. And of course, there's fireworks, etc. And I wanted to ask this girl out so bad, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. And part of my theophany was facing up that like feeling of loss and inability, because somehow I focused like all of the bad things that were happening in my life onto this one thing. And I honestly think by not dealing with that, I grew up throwing parties and festivals to try and reproduce the trauma that happened to me so I could relive it in a different way. And that factored into my understanding about like how trauma works in general. I think that we reproduce a lot of our old traumas so we can relive them on our own terms or change the outcome in some way. Mm-hmm. So the things that happen to us as children, especially the things we don't resolve, are going to influence like who we are as an adult and our goals and what we value the most and what we spend our time on. And it can have a big influence on who we are. So it makes sense that people who had a tumultuous childhood would be attracted to magic because they have to learn how to change themselves and change their reality.
I think there's also something to be said for like the subconscious attraction to things that help you approach traumatic experiences, whether you're conscious of it or not. You know, you have this kind of attraction, like you were saying, to parties, to try and like, it's like a subconscious, I want to deal with this and figure it out.
Mine was art and creativity, really. That's why I became an artist. I mean, it pretty much did shape my whole adult life.
Well, your artwork's pretty incredible. So I would imagine you're drawing all your little enemies burning in hell. It would be pretty convincing and cool looking. And then, you know,
it was kind of an escape, but I was doing I was channeling my psychic energy somehow doing it. Like I was getting relief and healing from that activity. So I just kept doing it.
I feel that art was like a really big part for me too, for dealing with shit.
I think it's kind of interesting that we're talking about childhood stuff a lot right now. Because as a magician, a ceremonial magician, in some of the texts I've read, you know, in Thelema, it describes like, you know, when you're doing the LBRP, for example, you should be doing it with a childlike, like a magical childlike mentality of almost like you're playing and you know how to use your tools and to have fun, but you also are to be respecting this force. You're supposed to come at it in a mindset that you're not totally familiar with like this formidable foe or something, and you use that to fuel instead of just going in there like, at least at that first step, I'm the baddest ass ever. It's like, no, ground yourself, return to child, and then do this, and then do this next ritual, and like throughout each of those you're evolving magically speaking, but you should start off as a child. Like
an openness and a sense of awe that children have. Yeah.
That to become receptive of the knowledge it's different than getting in there like, okay, let's get this work done like an adult does, and then you overlook like small things and you're not receptive to things, then it won't work the same way as if you go into it with that childlike outlook of playfulness and openness.
So the sign of silence, Harpocrates' sign, it's usually what you start off the LBRP or the Star Ruby with. It's to return yourself to like a grounded childlike mentality where you don't assume you know everything about what you're confronting or what you're banishing, and you kind of have a childlike, like young Link fighting his first boss. But you know what you're doing, you know how to use your tools, you know how to have fun as a child. So that's what we try to focus on first when we're beginning the operation, because then you move up through with each successive ritual or spell, through the signs of the grades or whatever, you're turning into an adult or like the ultimate weapon, so to speak.
You're growing up by means of hanging out with the energies or suckling on them, I guess.
Like a child. But I definitely didn't start off with Thelema. I think the first magical or occult text I ever read was gotta be the Bible, baby.
Woo, the original. You don't really need to deviate from that ever, really.
I mean, if that counts, then everybody's read a text when they were young.
Oh yeah.
Did you just assume my gender, Mari? Excuse me?
I never read the whole Bible until I became an adult, but like, you know, I heard it in sermons and shit, but I never picked it up myself even when I was a kid and going to church.
My mom told me I love David and Goliath, the story, right? No, I wonder why I liked Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Are we talking about the first occult text
Yes.
studied? Does the Bible count?
Yep.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
gonna say that's a freebie though.
Yeah, I think the Bible's a freebie. I don't know.
But it's
No.
often overlooked. It's a big spell book.
Like-
I grew up with it, but no one taught me how to use Psalms or anything like that. It's a majorly powerful occult book.
The first non-Christian occult book that I read, I don't actually remember the name of it because there was a whole bunch of them. When I was a teenager, I was like a babysitter for this super witchy chick, and so she would just leave me with her baby. We lived in the same apartment building, and she just had a ton of magic books and pagan books and stuff. So I'd just spend my whole time babysitting, reading these books and taking notes in a binder that I brought just for that.
That's amazing.
I started getting into Crowley and stuff directly through Yu-Gi-Oh! I think I've talked about this before.
Whoa.
But it is full of thelemic stuff. There's even Enochian around a hexagram, in the 3rd season. And I love those guys. They would you lose their duels, they take your soul, and and they break it. There's no shadow realm where you can come back. It's no, you're gone. I was like, hell yeah, they're badass. So somehow Crowley had a big influence on Japan, and even Pokemon's full of some goetic stuff, I think.
Yeah, they do borrow quite a bit. The thing about Japanese people is they're good at studying other cultures and then extracting what they want to use from it.
Yeah, because pretty much after the Bible, I got into Yu-Gi-Oh! Seriously and learning about the story in that. And then right into Goetia. I was of age to go and find, the Key of Solomon, the lesser key, and read about the Goetic forces, at probably 13, 14 years old.
Jesus Christ, that's young.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Whatever season 3 or 4 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, at the end of that, pretty much was when I went to internet cafe, looked up these books, and boom, Book of the Law, 72 Goetic Spirits. That would be my next jump.
It's a book of Pokemon for adults.
And that's exactly what I told myself when I was reading it at 15 years old. I was like, yeah, this is a Pokedex.
That was around the first time when I started practicing too.
Not me. Y'all are gonna laugh. So this was right after I had a spontaneous awakening around 2017, really early in the year, and it happened because of trauma. Then I was I had done yoga before, and then I started looking into a little bit of the Hindu texts and stuff, and I've always been fascinated with religions. I'm also a fan of sci-fi, and I stumbled across this thing called the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. I really enjoyed it, and that really got me to dive more into it. And, being into, I also am very interested in language and the evolution of language, and also where science came out of alchemy, basically. So the first book that I actually studied was The Initiation into Hermetics by Franz Bardon.
Oh, Franz
That's a
Bardon
good
got
one.
to you first.
Yeah, and then but I also started to read some. Right after that, I found that I also had copies of Lucifer magazine that Blavatsky put out in the Theosophical Society. So I came from more of a sci-fi, conspiracy, and theosophy side of things. I didn't really I wasn't looking for it, but it kind of smacked me in the face when I had my awakening.
I was told that Blavatsky did that whole Lucifer thing with her magazine because she was trying to compete so much with Aleister Crowley and keep her thing relevant. What was actually in there?
It was kind of like a zine from all the people that hung out in that circle and were in, and apparently they marketed Theosophy was like a religion.
No religion higher than truth, Maury.
It was a periodical, which is a magazine. There was one every month. So it was kind of like a mix between a magazine and a newspaper.
They're talking about whackety schmackety shit and opening their new organizations and
there was articles on yoga in it, which I was reading those, and it was, and then what's his face? Who's the dude that everyone with the beard and shit, and he has the cool voice? It's slipping my mind.
Not Rasputin.
No. The guy that he would do all the lectures, and people would come and listen to his hour-long lecture.
Are you talking about Alan Watts?
Yeah. Yes.
Ah.
Yeah. So I've seen some of his writings in there. It's just a bunch of mix of different people writing about different subjects, and a lot of it either has to do with religion. There's a lot of occult practicing in there, and then just history and stuff like that. I have copies if you want to see it.
when I was doing that babysitting for that Wiccan pagan lady, I pretty much like the second time I babysat for her, I brought like a binder with a bunch of like blank pages so I could start copying shit down, and I just jumped into it like right away.
That's
I was
rad.
like, I'm so into this. But I was also like, I was still really shy at the time, so I like didn't want the lady to know that I was like,
It's a secret.
so I would like make sure I put the books back exactly where I got them out, and that like I wasn't still writing in my binder by the time that she got back and stuff. Like I was like really secretive about it. I've always been really secretive about my practices. Before the whole rabbit, I started opening up a little bit more because of the whole rabbit, but like it was always super private.
Yeah, I pretty much did the same thing at the internet cafe. I had a notebook and I just copied pretty much the whole of Solomon's Lesser Key.
By hand?
Yeah,
Oh man.
because I didn't have money to pay for the printer. It was like 10 cents a page, and it's like I need a lot of dollars. $7 was a lot for little 13-year-old me. Already paying for the 30 minutes at the cafe to sit next to some weirdo watching fucking anime or some fucking porn. God, those cafes are weird.
Ugh.
You'd have Counter-Strike tournament on one side, land battle, and then neckbeards watching fucking anime and watching porn in the corner. It's like, what the fuck? How do you run this place?
I miss LAN parties though.
Duct tape yourself to the ceiling.
On the bunk bed thing. This is a golden age picture. If you know what we're talking about, it's a LAN party, and there's a dude duct tape onto the ceiling
Yeah.
with his desktop on top of like a bookshelf or something, and there's like two other dudes at the bottom. It's pretty awesome.
I was in a bookstore and got my hands on a copy of the Satanic Bible.
How long ago was that?
I wasn't as young as you two were. I must have been 16, 17.
Did you start practicing at the same time, or?
Anton LaVey is a great voice to listen to when you're getting into magic for the first time. He was very hip to the idea that magic works best when you're in the childlike state of mind. He explained that natural magic occurred when a couple was in the park and they would carve their name into a tree with a heart. He said that is how magic worked. And I'm happy that he introduced me to how it worked, because I didn't really fall into any ritual structure or any religious structure right away, because I was encouraged to be an antinomian and to figure it out myself, and that the truth was not something that had been written down in a book. It was something that you had to and could discover, perhaps.
Did you start doing like rituals and stuff around the same time, or?
I remember doing rituals when I got into chaos magic a few years later. I read Pop Magic by Kenneth Grant and a lot of other articles that were inside a David Metzger book full of different authors called The Book of Lies. And it was actually reading this book that helped me break out of a mind control cult I had accidentally fallen into. And it was by doing sigil magic that I learned I had access to a power that my quote-unquote guru was not teaching me. In fact, I had a magic tomb that was telling me how to do all this crazy kooky magic stuff that my so-called leader wasn't exposing me to. And I felt really betrayed by him for that reason. So doing rituals has always been a way for me to break away from the prevailing power structure and try and initiate my own current, my own way of life. So I think I got a lot out of Anton LaVey. I think I've taken a lot of what Anton LaVey said to heart. And even as I've evolved and like I embrace the Book of the Law now after rejecting it for like 10 years, Anton LaVey's voice is never far from my mind. So I'm happy we're going to talk about him soon on the show.
So how long ago was that? Like when you started getting into ritual work with like the chaos magic stuff?
I was probably 21, and I was playing World of Warcraft with my friends at the time, and they kept doing this thing where they would re-roll characters on a different server. I don't know why they kept doing this. I think they enjoyed leveling up much more than I did. I hated leveling up. I liked being max level and adventuring, or being the same level and adventuring with my friends, and they would always level up very quickly, so I'd be alone. And
Oh, that's me too.
And I remember deciding what class to play next, and I had never played a mage. And I started playing a mage to like level 7, you know, like an hour of grinding. And I said to myself, I could probably learn actual magic in less time than it would take me to get this stupid character to 60. And I dug out a Rider-Waite tarot deck wrapped in orange cloth that my mother had given me when I was younger. I just began studying what the cards meant.
That was my first deck too. My mom gave me a Rider-Waite tarot deck when I was 15.
Never owned a Rider-Waite deck.
I had to get one because I couldn't understand all the other newfangled ones.
I didn't even know that there was other tarot decks until like my late 20s.
I guess I technically did paint my own through the Builders of the Adytum program. They'll mail you the cards like a coloring book, and they tell you exactly what colors you're supposed to use, why you're supposed to use them on that card, what it means. You send them like, okay, give me the next one, and they just keep sending you card after card after card until you get a whole deck.
Dude,
Oh,
that's
I want to do
cool.
that.
I do too.
And
I
mine
wanna
got
do that.
destroyed. Mine got destroyed by an old ex-lover. So, yeah. So I guess I did technically own one, but I painted it myself. It wasn't.
Wow, the
Yeah.
sex must have been good if she was that angry at you.
Well, she was pretty much telling me that she was possessed by a demon or something. She was hearing voices, and I was like, oh God. We have one deep discussion about my beliefs, and you completely lose your shit. Like, I didn't want to talk about it, but she made me. So.
Do your parents know about your sorceress ways?
Wait, I didn't tell when I started practicing.
Oh, I thought you did. I thought you were saying it was 2017.
Well, that's when I started reading about it.
Oh, sorry.
And I already had.
When did you learn dog magic, Mari?
Dog magic? That's from a long time ago. But see, as a creative person, I think I was channeling a lot of this crap, like without knowing what the fuck I was doing. Because I used to, I started collecting crystals just because I fucking love crystals. I was like, you know what? I like gemology. I like all this like mineral shit. So I had a collection of that. And then I had this pie show table that I made. It's a game in Avatar, The Last Airbender. So I have like this like round little, I used it for an altar. So anyway, I'd arranged my crystals on it in a pleasing way. And then I come to find out, oh, there's such a thing as crystal grids. There's all this other crap that you can do with it. And then once I was introduced to the magic, kind of like Luke, my first stumbling block was basically chaos magic, because I'm not very structured. I'm all very Rage Against the Machine. Like, I don't like hierarchies. I don't like rules. I like breaking the rules, and I like being an underdog. Basically, I did start with sigils as well, and then I found out that I could actually use my altar to channel energy. So that's kind of where I started practicing, but that was like, well into 2017, 2018. I'm pretty much a newbie, and it's kind of embarrassing to have come in on the new age shit. But I really think there's something there, because around that time I was having visions, these weird visions. Like, I'd have what's it called, clairvoyance, not clairvoyance, it's like
Clairaudience?
It's not hearing either, it's just knowing. I forgot the name of that.
Clarinetians?
Yeah, something like that. Clarinets.
No, clarinetians, I think it's called.
Yeah, I think it's clarinetians.
But it's like I would have these downloads that would just happen instantaneously like that, and I'd see a picture, or I'd notice something that I was overlooking. I'm still trying to put this together, but I came up with a grimoire of sigils. But then, like, the more I research it, like, especially when we were talking about the Hadith and the Nuit in the episode a few ones back about the Egyptian stuff, like, that is exactly some of the symbols that I use. I didn't know where it came from. It just came from out of my brain, out of the ether. So I found that very fascinating. And then just like studying all the different things that I do on the show, like, this show has been a blessing to me, because I get like a nice sampler of everything that's going on. And I found out the wheel I use is found in Buddhism. And that's why I was attracted to chaos magic, because I use the same kind of wheel sometimes. So I just find this all like very fascinating. And I used to be an agnostic for a long, long time, and we'll get into that in a minute, but I never thought there wasn't something there, that there wasn't a presence or a god or some kind of super organism that contains all of us and everything that's alive.
I think, like, regardless of whether you are consciously practicing or not, I think a lot of people have this even in their childhood, when you're attracted to like collecting rocks or like, making concoctions with like
Oh, yeah.
sticks and leaves and like, like stirring it up with some water and stuff. Like, there's like an attraction to it that a lot of people have as children. I know, like, I was a huge rock collector as well. Like, I know my dad used to take us to the beach all the time, or like to old ghost towns, and we'd dig stuff up and collect bones. And there was like one point where we went to like some rock door where they had like a bunch of different kinds of rocks. You get like the tiny little rocks, and it sells like rose quartz. It's a stone of love.
Polished gemstones and all that.
Yeah. Or the raw ones too. And like we used to, get one of each kind of thing, and like take the little papers with them and be like, ooh. So like, I think there's a attraction to it that a lot of people have, even as children or as youth, and you don't really realize that that's magic that you're attracted to, or like you don't really have a name for it, but you feel like a connection to it.
Yeah, like especially when I had my awakening, then I realized everything that we do is magic.
Yeah.
Like, like, why do humans make music? Why do we make poetry? Why do we worship? Why do we go to church? You know, all of this shit, it's got to be there for a reason. And it's this underlying current that I think has always been there.
When I was leaving the grocery store just recently, I walked over a small ring that had a lion head on it, and it immediately brought me back to 4th grade when one of my classmates was doing his best to convince all of us at recess that he had produced a ring that looked exactly like this, like a little lion head on it. Now, he had produced this ring by visiting a witch's house or a witch's cave or some such thing that had magic traps in it, and it held some evil power. And I eventually talked him into letting me have the ring because I wanted this magic power so badly. That's a little bit how Anton LaVey describes magic working. You have to build a world around the thing that you want to create. And you have to create that world basically and walk into it and make it real. And then chaos magic says the same thing, but to do that temporarily and then move on to something else. And so I think somewhere between fantasizing, role-playing, and working towards a goal is really what magic is for me a lot of the time.
Yeah, I was playing pretend like that and making characters since I was in 3rd grade. So it's just, I'm pretty much inclined to do it that specific way. Like, I'm a very free spirit. I don't really I'm never going to join an order for that matter.
So do your parents know about your sorceress ways?
Yeah, except my dad died before I did all this crap. But you know what's really funny is he's one of those kind of like semi-Christians that we have to go to church on Easter and Christmas, and you know, and I'm like, why don't we go every week? If we're gonna go to church, why aren't we going every week? And then I got him to quit going to church when I was a kid. But I did go with my mom. We were like pretty much Episcopalian or fake Anglican. So I got a lot of the ritualistic side of it as well. And I thought it was cool and stuff, but I remember telling one of my friends that had an abusive family and no friends and shit. And I was like, go to church, they'll help you. And the church like was just expecting him to pay money and didn't like him because he wore a black band, metal t-shirt or something like that. And then I actually became agnostic in a Southern Baptist church when the preacher was saying, oh, we should be loving and we should be in brothership or in sisterhood with like all the people and love the gays and love all the other people. Well, it's too bad they're going to hell. Like, he pretty much basically said gay people are going to hell, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm out. But I didn't become atheist. Most people will become atheist after that. But I just I know there's a God, but I know it's not this shit. And my mom also raised me she's an English major, and she's really into English, Irish, and Scottish historical crap. And they were druids and pagans before they were invaded by Rome and converted. So she has a lot of that, the symbolism and books about that in the house. And we both loved Harry Potter, and she collects these green men figures. And so I have a very strong connection with that part of paganism, is the druids. So she already knows all this, you know.
One of my cousins married into Mormonism, and now we have a lot of Mormons in the family because they make babies, you know. And I was sort of afraid of being found out by my Christian/Mormon family for being a gnarly witch. They all kind of found out anyway because Facebook, but one Christmas I produced the tarot cards and I gave one of my cousins a tarot reading, and I think they received it very warmly. They were very happy with what I was telling them, and I think I made them a believer in the tarot cards.
My parents know a bit. Like, my dad calls me a witchy woman, and he kind of makes fun of me a little bit. But I definitely can't really. I don't think I can really talk to him about the demon stuff. I don't think he'd really be understanding of that. But yeah, when I was 4, I wanted to go to church. I asked if I could go to church because my older brothers went to church, and I saw them come home one day with instruments. My brothers had a trombone and a trumpet, and I was like, I want to go to church so I can play an instrument too. And my dad was like, that's not really why you go to church. And but I want to go to church and learn to play an instrument. I was so young. I was 4. So my dad basically said well, you can go to church. You can see if you like it. If you believe it, that's okay. And if you don't believe, that's okay too. don't let anyone tell you what to or what not to believe, which I thought was like pretty open-minded for my dad, because my dad is he's Christian. He's Christian, but he didn't go to church with us because, you know, he worked night shift, but still. So he's pretty open-minded to the magic stuff. I left church when I was in like grade 10. I was questioning it for a pretty long time prior to that. The first thing that made me question it was actually the story of Noah's Ark, because I was like, this is a bunch of bullshit. There's no way he could have fit all of the animals on Earth on one boat. Like, there's no way. And even if he could, if it was a boat big enough, there's no way he could have built that by himself. I was just like...
He didn't fit all the animals, though, because the unicorns and dragons got left behind.
It was just like, I started questioning things, like, and then when I would ask about it, I was basically, like, met with, you know, the, like, well, you just have to have faith and blah, blah, blah. And they also, like, implied a lot. Like, I was, you know, when I started getting older, I dyed my hair, like got a few piercings in my face, and they told me that I was like mutilating God's temple. And like, I started questioning a lot of things. So I eventually left. I think I just stuck around for band because I liked playing instruments.
Your body is God's temple.
That's what they said. And I was like, well, if my body is God's temple, why can't I decorate it? Like, almost every temple is decorated.
Yeah, and it's like, if our bodies are temples of God, then why the fuck do I even need to go to church? I can just sit here in my body.
Just being told, like asking questions about the Bible or asking questions about stories from the Bible was sinful. Just being told that, I was like, excuse me?
Yeah, God works in mysterious ways or something like that. Usually would be like, because most people aren't they don't approach the Bible in a scholarly way because they have this dogma of, oh, just have faith. Don't question God. You know, it's just beyond your understanding, little kid. You're just clay and he's the hands. How could you try to question what he does? And it's like, that's really all you get for a long time until you like talk to people who analyze it and they're like, okay, look, we do got an answer for you and what that really means. You're not supposed to do that. And it's kind of like, what the fuck? Like,
Who is the pot to question the potter? Let the potsherds hump the potsherds. Whatever it is.
I didn't understand any of that crap. Like, I got the same response that you did, Hecka, when I questioned things, and that just wasn't good enough for me, because I'm naturally curious, and I want to understand things. That's why I like science so much, and research, and just kind of, like, thinking about things. But, you know, those answers aren't going to cut it, but the only thing that got me to understand the value of the Bible and that whole, like the whole message in it, the spiritual message, was finding magic and learning about magic. Like, that's the only way I was able to comprehend and understand the Bible.
Yeah, they like got pretty mad at me. Well, not like flat out mad, but they took me aside because I was asking questions in front of the other kids, and they said that I was like, you know, by me questioning, that I was making the other kids question, and that, like, you know, Satan was the one that was making me question in the first place. So it's you know, now I'm basically getting all these other kids to sin just by asking the question in the first place. Like,
oh, so you're an expert on Satan, are you? You know a lot about Satan, huh? Mr. Fancy Schmancy teacher, you tell me about Satan. You're the expert, right?
They can't handle the truth. That's all it is that they can't handle those kind of questions. So they're like, shut up, or I'll look stupid in front of the other kids.
The crazy thing is, like, that is apparently what's being talked about in church, and like that I'm the sinful one. I looked like a little goth teenager kid by the time that I left church. And like, they saw me as like, I was a problem kid because of how I looked and because I was asking questions, when it was like, there was a couple in the church. One was like the piano player, and then the other one was like named Mickey, and then her husband was like named Chuck. And they were supposed to be like the model couple for the church. And then like Mickey went and cheated on Chuck, and there was like, it was like this super hush hush.
Mickey cheated on Chuck.
It was just like so dramatic and stuff, and that whole thing got swept under the carpet. And like, they're still, you know, good, godly, upstanding people, but I'm the piece of shit because I asked a couple questions and I look like a freak.
A lot of people that I know personally, like, know me in real life, I'd say about 95% of them don't know what I do in terms of magic, and nor do my folks. That includes them, and did go to church when I was a kid, and it really just felt more like daycare for the adults to go and do these backstabbing things under the church. Yeah, I didn't pay attention because I wasn't like at the grown-up section, you know, because they had like this. You go watch VeggieTales and give you
remember
paper
that.
plates and tell you to draw me, Kyle, on them. And here's a cardboard thing, cut out a sword from it. This is your armor and your weapons of God. And I'm like, this is pretty cool. That definitely like I still use to this day is you know, my celestial armor. I love that concept, and a lot of that is custom stuff. You know, I don't really got it from a book or anything. I was a kid. God gave me some armor, and I upgraded it.
You know, this is why I appreciate the whole rabbit so much, because like I don't have other people to talk to about this kind of stuff in everyday life, and I never have really had people to connect with over anything occult. So this is really cool to be able to talk about it, and especially with the Discord too, be able to talk with others.
All right, so the most important question of the evening. Does hair have magic power?
Yes.
I'm on the fence about this one.
How long is your hair, Hecka? Just for
It's-
people.
When it doesn't have any kind of wave in it, when it is actually straight, like fresh out of the shower, it's almost to the bottom of my butt.
In terms of feet or meters, however you Canadians,
Oh gosh, in feet? I don't know. I'm 5'1", so
it's almost 3 foot.
It's a lot of hair.
It's about 3 feet.
Yeah.
Almost 3 feet. Yeah.
Yeah, I have hair down to my nipples.
Mine's about that length, but I have like a head of hair for 3 people. I've got the thickest hair. Every time I go get my hair cut, the hairdresser calls all her friends over to be like, look how thick her hair is. Oh my gosh, I've never seen such a thick head of hair. It's so crazy.
Sometimes I have, you know, like this summer's really, really hot, and sometimes I just wake up and I'm just up at 5 a.m. before work, before I even would be in the shower, and I'm just like buzzing it, looking in the mirror like, yeah, just like let this new character in. And like when the hair comes off for months, I'm a whole different personality. And I was just talking to my buddy Cole last night. It's his birthday today. You know, he had medium length hair for a male, and he finally cut it. And we saw him last night, and he looked like Tyler Durden. And he was like, dude, the yoga is just so much better, and like just being bald. And he's like, I can feel it all coming in like to my crown. I was like, oh, that's amazing, dude. Like,
I was about to say, like, if hair has magical powers, does that mean people that are bald have less power? Because I don't necessarily believe that.
No, it's
Like,
different.
if
I
your
just-
hair falls out, like not of your own volition, then like I feel sorry for people that go bald because then they're losing their magical power.
It's different. So what it is that in my experience is that hair holds onto energy and can act as an antenna.
I'd agree. And
So like I've had hair down to my knees before twice. So I grew it down to my knees, and then I chopped it all off, and then I grew it down to my knees again and chopped it all off. And now I'm on the third go of getting it back down there. And there's definitely a huge difference that I've noticed every time I've cut it, but it's both beneficial and there's some like there's pros and cons to it. So the pros being like, if you're trying to let go of negative energy, that like if you've gone through a lot of stuff and you want to let go of that and remove the burden of that and move forward, it really helps with that. So like one of the times that I cut my knee length hair was after ending an 8-year relationship.
Woo.
And this is actually not uncommon. A lot of people feel this urge to cut their hair when they leave a relationship. And you that's, I personally think that's why. It's a desire to let go of the energy and, you know, move forward from it. And it definitely does work. It definitely does help.
I subconsciously did that every single time a relationship ended. Just cut my hair, and then when it grows out, I'll bleach it, and I'll have green hair until heartbreak again, and then it's back to bald, long hair again.
Yeah. When I had when I had cut it one time, I had it like pixie cut, like really, really short. And it made me more in tune with myself for introspection and less antenna-y. So I
Like
really
you're
felt...
receiving all this other energy that you can analyze and be in your head.
Yeah, so I feel like when I had really, really short hair, I was more able to focus on myself. And when I've had really, really long hair, it's been like I'm able to tap into what's around me a lot easier, especially nature and other people.
I feel like that has militaristic applications too, because earlier you said, you know, if you want to go forward and, you know, get rid of the negative stuff. Yeah, you're in the fresh platoon, little grunt. Sit down, let's chop your hair off.
Yeah.
You know, and let's get this soldier in you now, like activate it. So I really do think there is properties to it, to hair, that a lot of occultist or podcast people just simply kind of don't talk about. If you see a soldier with long hair, they're probably special forces going deep into like, Taliban territory looking like Taliban so that they could go unnoticed. And it's like a whole different, they're tapping into what's around them more so than being a jarhead, standout, confrontational unit,
There's something to that too, because like, you were saying the military, a lot of times they cut off the hair, right? And it's like a release from attachments, a new start.
Yeah.
And they do this as well with monks, right?
That's what I was about to say.
To release attachments, physical, worldly attachments. But the military has also used Native Americans for a lot of things. Like I think in World War II, they used them for codes and stuff like that. One of the Native American beliefs, at least I think it's the same in America as it is here, but they also believe that hair holds onto energy and acts as a kind of antenna, and that you actually do lose some of that ability to connect when you cut it. I think it goes both ways.
I think it was Navajo, the Navajo code speakers. That's what they were called. And
Code talker.
Code talkers. The Germans couldn't decipher our messages that they were hearing because it was all in Cherokee, Apache. They're just using like native words in general. Yeah, it's kind of
because even
cool.
English is half German, so they could parse if you were saying stuff in English. Like they could like even if you're using code in English, they could be like, oh well, that the trees probably mean this and blah blah blah.
But I think it also is a Navajo belief that your hair helps you connect, like antenna.
This is just reminding me of all these iconic scenes I've seen in movies and cartoons. Like I was talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, when Prince Zuko basically abandons and abdicates the throne and tries to go into hiding. He cuts his ponytail off. He has like one of those like the Chinese imperialist ponytails. And then in Mulan, when she changes genders, she cuts her hair off to blend in as a male in the army. Man, there's so many of that. There's so many repetitive. And then the story of Samson in the Bible, Samson and Delilah.
Even in the Bible, there are passages that say like a woman should not have her hair braided and stuff like that. And I have noticed a difference as well as to whether my hair is actually down or if it's braided. So like, I kind of feel like maybe that's what was being implied in the Bible, that it's not actually like something just aesthetic. I think it's like maybe they had like some energetic purposes for making it like you shouldn't do this. Luke's hair is getting pretty long now.
It's purty.
I haven't cut my hair since I've had my theophany, and that's why I like having that connection to the time in my life that I met the Sophia.
I do see the Weird Al though.
Yeah, people are starting to say I look like Weird Al.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
No,
Weird Al is a very talented musician.
I love your little your goatee too, your twisty goatee that you think when you think you like pull on it and stuff.
When he twists it like that, it kind of looks like an Egyptian beard.
Or you look like a genie.
It totally looks like an Egyptian beard.
I'm a rabbit djinn.
Yes.
Yeah, I shaved my beard a couple of weeks ago.
Do you get more magical power if you don't shave your legs or armpits?
Yes.
You know what? I'm doing 100% body shave just for you, Mari.
Ooh, slippery
right.
magic.
Slithery snake magic.
Honestly, I like that perspective the best. I don't know where my source would be, but I've heard somewhere in the annals of the chaos magic corpus that different haircuts correspond to different powers. That you should get a haircut like Special Agent Cooper from Twin Peaks if you want to be fast, quick, suave. That if you want to be a conqueror or a warrior, you should get a mohawk, etc., etc. That your hair modifies your energy. It doesn't necessarily give or take power. It just should be compatible with your mission. And if you'd like to hear the rest of the show, where we keep asking each other stupid questions about magic, our childhood, and egregores, please visit www.patreon.com/thewholerabbit, where your monthly subscription of just $5 will get you access to our entire library of extended episodes available on convenient RSS feed format compatible with your podcast player of choice. I'll even send you a 5x5 vinyl sticker of our cover art at no additional cost to you. Yes, even you international folks who have to spend $17 to send it to, I will send it to you, I promise. And you'll get the secret keys to our Discord server where you can talk to us about all the terrible things the bullies did to you in your childhood. Thank you, everybody. Eat carrots and shoot lasers.
Pew, pew, pew.